What a nice day. I feel like teaching some Korean today. If only there was someone I could teach Korean to, that would be great. I don't see anyone. Oh, you're right there the whole time. Welcome. I guess all of you are here early. We haven't started yet. We'll get started right at the top of the hour, but while you're here, I figure, why don't we just kind of hang out? You know, I can share some advice for Korean. We can talk about whatever you want. Let's see who's here. Welcome. Whose names do I recognize? I'm scrolling up to the top. See who I missed? Cosma, our first person. Welcome, Cosma. I know your name very well. Jejongsby, I've seen you before. See, who else have I seen? Sunny Southpaw, I recognize that. Kai, of course. The CEO of Adobe. How can I forget you? Lady Napbug from Los Angeles. It's getting a little hot here, isn't it? Starting from just earlier this week, it started to get hot. It wasn't actually hot at all until just, I'd say, last week. Keith. Hey, Keith. Our first member to come in. That's people who have green names. You might see their name and feel a little bit green because they are members and they get some benefits. They get to watch these live streams, the abridged versions before everyone else. I'll edit them and you can watch it tonight. So that's a benefit for members. You also get access to little emojis that only members can use. And sometimes you get member-only posts. You get to watch some of the new series that I'm posting right now, the Sentence Connector series, a few days in advance as well, is what I'm doing for members. Welcome, welcome. This is feeling like Blue's Clues, yes. What is Billy drinking today? This is a peach mango sugar drink. It's got a little bit of caffeine in it, but other than that, it doesn't really, yeah, it's just kind of peachy, mango-y. Nothing too special. Welcome, welcome. Javik says, I'm on lesson 24 in the beginner course. That's great. Good. You made it past sound change rules and basic conjugation. I'd say everything else here on is smooth sailing. No, but in the beginning, those are probably the toughest hurdles. The next hurdle you'll reach probably won't be for a while, but let me know how it's going. Galaxy Jack said you're watching my old videos on episode 7. Which old videos? I have a lot. I've been doing this since 2012, so I have some very old videos, as well as I have some videos that are older, but not old. The very old ones, I've since probably remade most of those. So if it's something from like 2012 to 2014, I would say like skip it. I mean, I'm not going to delete it, but I don't recommend it. But newer ones, try to find if there's a newer version of whatever video, if it's that old. Oh, Glass Artist. Wow. Thank you so much. Hey, Glass Artist. 상사님, 안녕하세요. Glass Artist. We were also messaging for a little bit on Patreon, where there's a secret project that I'm working on. My podcast. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Glass Artist. Was in LA for 2 days. Oh, welcome. What did you think? I guess depending on where you were in LA, you may have had nice weather or terrible weather. Glad to be back home in my coastal Bay Area of 74. You're just rubbing it in now. Hey, we have that kind of weather too in LA, but you got to go closer to the beach, and not everywhere close to the beach. I think like the Santa Monica area, if you visit like that area, you'd get that weather here too. Maybe like low 80s, I think. Maybe not 74. And then San Diego, I think, does get that kind of weather too. Glad to hear about your new project. Whiting. Thank you, Glass Artist. I'm going to put Glass Artist's name up here as our very first sponsor for today. One of these days, I want to see one of Glass Artist's art. I'm assuming you are a glass artist. I mean, you've told me that, but someday I'll see some of your art. It's going to be like that Squidward, the chiseled cheeks drawing of Squidward, or maybe like SpongeBob's marble artwork or something like that, but made in glass. Bold and brass, something like that. Keith says, I was shocked to see Milkus at my local Costco yesterday. Can't advertise. You can say Costco. I'm not going to kick you out of the chat for saying Costco. I mean, I have a Costco membership. Well, right now I do. I won't in maybe a few more months. But I sometimes have a Costco membership just to get the gas there. And their food court. Oh, and then what else is good there? Their chicken, not chicken. The chicken's okay, but I would say their shrimp. They have really good quality frozen shrimp, and it's a good price. I also like their, I think what else do I like? Really like getting there. I mean, I used to like getting a lot of stuff there. I just don't let myself buy anymore. I used to really like their pies. Their croissants are good and they freeze well. So you can buy like a big pack of 24 croissants and freeze them. Just throw them in the freezer as is and they'll last a pretty long time. Costco, the water, get the water bottles. Those are good, I guess. Yeah. Oh, and then like protein powder. I'm trying to think of other random stuff I like buying at Costco. I don't buy too much stuff though there. Okay, let's see here. I'm using Hada lesson to teach a beginner. Okay. Currently only 92 degrees. Yes, it's not crazy hot here, but it is quite hot. Just okay. I want to make sure I can catch up with all the chats. Kai says, "Are we officially working on the podcast?" Not officially, but I'm officially planning it, but I haven't officially started it yet. There's a post about my podcast on Patreon. If you're any Patreon member, you can read that. And I've already shared my what the set's going to look like. And if you read the comments, you can see even what the format of the podcast will be. But I'm thinking maybe next week there will be another post on Patreon that'll be public to everyone. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. Because I've been planning it, like actually planning it a lot for the past 2 weeks. But thinking about it and having ideas for it and semi-planning it since back during COVID. So I have a lot of stuff, and today I was actually planning it as well. I was trying to plan part of the set involves a television. So I spent a few hours today researching how I could pull that off because it's kind of a unique thing I want to do there. I mean, they should pay you for the mention. I see. Costco should sponsor you. Is there anything at Costco for a Korean learner besides like they sell ramen? Love the free samples. Yeah, I like the free samples. I was a huge fan of the free samples as a kid. There used to be more of them, and maybe it depends on which Costco you're at. My Costco does free samples. It's just not like spectacular. Like you'll get a little bit of a bunch of things, and it's not enough to feel like it's not really a lot of food. I mean, I know it's not supposed to be, but it's really not. But I remember going there as a kid, and they'd give you like a big portion of like a decent sized portion of a lot of the stuff. And I remember there would be like samples on almost every aisle, sometimes both sides. And you could get full if you went to Costco on samples. Kai says, I took your encouragement from last stream and disregarded my anxiety and started posting 45 to 60 seconds of me talking in Korean daily and recently started exploring Hello Talk. Nice. See, anytime someone says they feel anxious or they feel depressed, just be like, dude, bro, don't be anxious. Don't be depressed. And like, they're cured. It worked for Kai. No, I'm glad to hear that you're trying something. Like, I feel like the half of the difficulty of practicing Korean is that first second when you're practicing Korean. It's like just doing it is the hard part for a lot of stuff. That's great to hear you're doing that. Make sure to set, like, I recommend if you can put it in your calendar, like just a little bit. It can be like really short. Put it in your calendar for every day or whatever, every day you want to do it. I mean, just as a reminder, because when the coolness, the uniqueness factor wears off after like a week or so, that will at least keep you going with it, that you'll remember, oh yeah, I should be doing this. Now I don't feel like it, but I just want to take care of it. So at least to keep it going, I'd recommend doing that. And I would do the same thing when I'm trying to do specific practice. I would schedule it. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Jalen is asking about a solo podcast. Well, I put information about it in my Patreon page. And I haven't really talked about it publicly other than the word podcast, but that's because before I announce it, before I like say, hey, I'm doing a podcast, I'm not yet, but before I would say something like that, I want to make sure I get everything taken care of in advance so that I can, I don't want to announce something and then not do it. I like doing the things that I say I'm going to do. So I don't know. I could talk about it, but let me see here. Let me see. YouTube just added this goal feature into my streams that I didn't have before, but now it looks like I can set goals. So how about I do this? Let's say 2 hours. I will talk about my podcast, super chat. Okay. Let's see if this works. Does it show the goal? Okay. I created a goal. I've never seen this feature before, but it says, if I can get at least teal super chats. I don't know how that works, but it says if I get at least 10 teal color, which is like the $5 tier, then I will talk about my podcast. Otherwise, you'll have to wait maybe another month or so, or 2 months or 3 months. I don't know, because I haven't actually officially started work on it. It would just be talking about what we have so far. Anyway, I'll put that up. If it doesn't work, it's fine. Let's see what else is going on here. Becky says, I'm happy I caught your live. I was going over making negative sentences. Nice. Kai says, it's the secret cure. Wait, did I miss something? What is the secret cure? Oh, yes, that's, of course. My secret cure, yes. Yeah, someone's like, bro, I'm homeless. And all you have to really say is, just buy a home. I mean, like fixed. I'm not feeling too good, man. I feel like really depressed lately. Dude, stop being sad. Like, oh, you're right. Thanks. Like these are some basic advice you can provide to any friend that's in any of these situations. Like, bro, I don't have any money. It's like, dude, just work. Wow. Some easy stuff. They have soju at Costco. That's right, they do nowadays. Though it's funny, my younger brother had bought a pack of soju. He doesn't drink that much. It's pretty rare. But he said it was like $12 for 8 bottles or something like that, which I'm thinking like, oh, that's a good deal. And I'm like, wait a minute. In Korea, like that's like the regular price in Korea at the supermarket. Like it's really cheap over there. But the funny thing is in the US, and anyone else who would know this, if you want to buy that at a restaurant, it's going to be like $18, sometimes more, for 15 to 20 bucks for a single bottle if you get that at a restaurant. Now, I'm not someone who drinks. Like, I think the last time I did have a single drink this summer in Korea, and that was my one drink, the only drink I've had the entire year. But I very rarely drink, but still, it's just, I mean, it's very expensive. So I'm actually glad I don't, because I get to save some money, as well as smoke. I don't smoke. That would take all of my money. Sunny Southpaw, thank you. Sunny Southpaw. And we'll get started with the actual lesson at the top of the hour. So everyone here is early, don't worry. Every time I see your name, though, I think of South Park for some reason. I don't know if there's any relation. I've actually never seen a full episode of South Park before, but I've seen clips every now and then. I don't know if there's any relation to that. Yes, 9 more to go. Yes. If you are sad in your language, try being happy in Korean. Yeah, there you go. You can be depressed in your native language, but when you switch to Korean, you can be happy again. Just never go back to your native language. And then when you get depressed in Korean, you have to switch. You got to find another language. It's like Inception. You just kind of keep going deeper and deeper. And every time you feel depressed, learn a new language and switch to that. And like all the other language, it just compounds. But as long as you can keep learning a new language, you can keep, kicking the can down the road. It works. It doesn't work. Let's see. I'm planning on using my Korean to move over in a few years and teach English. Nice. You actually won't need any Korean to teach English in Korea, but knowing Korean will help you a ton. So I always tell people if they're going to be teaching English in Korea, learn as much Korean as you can before you go. It will help you. What is excited in Korean? Like looking forward to something. So there are a lot of ways to say that. I've done episodes before as well about how to say like looking forward to. If you're saying like, woohoo, I'm excited, like yippee, excited is there's different between like, oh, I'm excited for you. Like that's different. And yippee, excited, that's different. And there are different ways to say this. The verb you want, wow, I wrote that really messy. The verb you want is 신나다 or 신이 with the subject marker, 신나다. So you would conjugate this. You can say 신나, 신나요. It's not commonly used with the subject marker, but you could. It would be there. 신나. 너무 신나. Or 신났어. Like that person, they got really excited. Like that. It's more like a yippee, looking forward to, excited, woohoo sort of excitement. If you meant like expecting something, I'm very excited to see your performance, like that sort of excitement, looking forward to excitement would be 기대. You can say 기대하다 or 기대되다. Like if something is itself exciting, 기대되다. And if I am myself excited as in looking forward to it, then 기대하다. 기대하고 있어. 기대할게. I'll look forward to it, like that. That would be a separate lesson to do all the different versions of it, but basically that's how it works. Okay, we still got 8 minutes left, so I'll take some more questions and then we'll get started with the lesson. Southpaw means left-handed. I didn't know that. That's English? Well, is Northpaw then right-handed? Is this, what language is that? Like, where did it come from that Southpaw would be left-handed? Okay. Adopt someone like Keycat. Yes. I started learning Korean when I was 10. My favorite music group was Big Bang, but I didn't understand. Big Bang. They've been popular for a long time. I want to connect with the students and culture better, and only speaking English will not make that possible. Yes. Although in class, you probably won't use any Korean. You might not want your students to know that you can speak Korean either. So it's probably best to only use English for your job, for the English teaching part, with the other teachers, with the job part of it, with the students. It's like 100% English. You don't understand Korean. Even if you do, just pretend you don't. Because if a student knows you speak Korean, they're going to be like, they're just going to use that to their advantage. But anything outside of that, knowing Korean will unlock the world outside of the expat community. So you won't have to only hang out with other people that are also English teachers. You'll have a big market of people you can hang out with and activities that you can do besides just, like I said, hanging out with other English speakers. And nothing against that if you don't really care so much. But then you get to experience all the stuff you can only do in Korea. I think it came from baseball. Okay. I came to lesson 10 out of 11 on the beginner course. I also learned about 20 new words from another YouTube's learning thing. It's not a lot, but I hope I'm doing okay. Okay, in sports, orthodox refers to right-handed and southpaw is left-handed. Why do they use those terms? That's kind of weird. Orthodox would be like some religion thing, like, strict. And then southpaw, so random. I mean, I can't complain too much because boat terminology is kind of the same, like port and stern. Like, why don't you just say right and left? Like, or starboard. That's right. Port and starboard. What's the front and the back? Anyway, there's like all these weird words. I learned them once. Like, I remember learning those things once as a teenager, like all the terminology. Never use it. Because I don't spend too much time on my private boat sailing around the world. I'm teaching Korean too much to go out on my yacht. My gigantic yacht. Yes. Oh, hey, Jason. Thank you. I don't know how much that is. I have to check. CRC. Awesome. That's like $5. It says Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Sorry, I said it wrong. Let me get rid of this. Like I said, if you want a separate lesson on these words, with examples, I could do that after the stream. Okay, we got 2 out of 10 on the donation goal for me to talk about the podcasts. I don't really know what I would talk about because I haven't started working on it. Well, actually, I mean, I have started working on it, but I haven't officially. It's not official. Could you clearly explain the difference between topic marker and subject marker? Cameron Diaz. Are you the real Cameron Diaz? I hope so. It's really glad. I'm really glad to hear that you started learning Korean. That's wonderful. So the difference between those would be a full lesson. And if I tried to simplify it right now, it wouldn't do it justice. So please check out my channel if you search the term topic, you'll find I've made like probably a dozen, maybe more, videos that teach the topic marker. There's one that teaches like topic, subject, and object all together. There's a separate beginner course that teaches them separately. I have a different video that's just like topic versus subject, a different video, 2 videos that are all about the topic marker, like how to use multiple ones, how to understand the feeling of the topic marker. But these are very big topics. So please check out my channel first. But if you have a specific question about them, I'd be happy to answer it. But a general question like that, I would recommend starting off with my beginner course. So if you search beginner Korean course on Google and watch from the first lesson, you'll learn both of those. Costa Rican money. Okay. What would you recommend for listening practice other than K-dramas and K-pop? I actually would never recommend those for listening practice. That would be the last thing I would recommend. The first thing I recommend for listening practice would be, in the past, I would say variety shows, but nowadays I would say YouTube, because variety shows was just because that was the main source of content. Nowadays, though, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube. Podcasts, like there are lots of people who do Korean podcasts. There are people who do podcasts for Korean learners. I made a video about podcasts for that, so you can check that out on my channel. I would do that as my main recommendation. After that, I might recommend, regular TV shows like variety shows, but I wouldn't recommend dramas. Those are very high level, and I would never recommend K-pop. That's like beyond, because that's more like in the poetry category, which can be very simple, but can be extremely difficult because it's made as a poem. It's not made to be real spoken Korean. So I wouldn't do that until you first have a good grasp on actual Korean, because poetry is not how people actually speak. Port versus starboard and stern versus, that's right. I was like, what? The word stern came to me. So port and starboard, and then stern and bow. Yes. Becky says, is this your regular schedule? Yes, I always start at the top of the hour, so I'll start in 2 minutes. Romaine says, thank you. I'm almost halfway through the beginner course. Nice. What do you recommend next? So Romaine, 2 things. First is finish the course first before you worry about that, because I don't think you're going to have this question after you finish it. Second is I have a conversation course, which is a sequel to that. So you can go right on after you finish that. But I would say before you worry about that, finish it. You're not going to be worrying about it once you're done. Davin, says, are particles only limited to nouns, or can they be used on anything? Yeah, they can be used on anything. So you can use particles after phrases. You can use them after adverbs. But we'll talk about that a little bit today. It depends on the particle, but generally adverbs are fair game. Nouns, pronouns are also fine. And other particles as well. Specifically, before other markers is really common. Mafaz says, a few K-dramas won't help, but in time I noticed they're good for recognizing patterns. Sure, if you're someone who watches like every drama that comes out, like you've seen dozens and dozens of series, then yeah, it's going to eventually help you. But you're kind of wasting your time if you're trying to do that for Korean practice. If you're doing it for entertainment, that's fine. But watching 5 hours of drama is not the same as listening to 5 minutes of a Korean learning podcast at all. You're going to get way more out of something that's a lower level, that's more realistic, that instead of dramas, which are really difficult sometimes and really fast paced, you're going to get way more out of this general regular everyday speaking content that you get from a podcast than you ever could from a drama. Now, even when you're an advanced level, it's probably going to still be the same, but it depends. But yeah, dramas are just usually solidly in the high advanced level. And I haven't found many dramas that are simpler than that, unless it's maybe like a morning drama, like Atsim drama would be what we would consider like a soap opera. Like soap operas are usually going to be simpler because they didn't spend so much time to write the script. So it's just them speaking normally, but film like a drama. Those are probably better. But the downside is you have to watch a soap opera. So I would say YouTube stuff is going to be more realistic, how Koreans will actually speak. Yeah, that's what I would say about that. Okay, so this lesson we're going to be doing today has a pretty strict prerequisite. Now, before you start, you really want to know how to read the alphabet. If you don't know this, you probably can't do the lesson for today. I'm really sorry. I know that's going to kick out like 90% of you, but for those of you who can still stay, make sure you're familiar with this. So make sure you can read this before you start the lesson. Okay, of course I'm joking. The lesson we're doing today is beginner level, but it's also at the same time going to be an intermediate level and kind of a little bit advanced. So if you think this lesson is way too easy for you, do not worry. If you think this lesson is way too difficult for you, well, I'm sorry, but it's probably not. You're probably okay with most of this lesson. Okay, so we're going to be going over 2 particles today. And the first one is going to be very basic. You probably already know it. And that is the particle t. Now, how does t work? You take a noun and you directly attach t after it. A noun is just any person, place, or thing. So any word, essentially, you attach it directly after a noun and it makes that noun plural. What is plural? This sounds like a really stupid thing to ask, but think about it for a second. What is actually plural? What does plural mean? I'm asking you that for a reason, because it's going to come up again later when we learn about a more advanced usage of this. It just means there are multiple subjects. So there are many of something, right? That's all it means. So in English, this is horrible. If any of you have tried to make plurals in English, you know that they come off the top. They're really easy to make in English. If you're a native English speaker, plurals are really easy to make. But if you're an English student, these are like hell. Because English plurals are terrible. English plurals don't follow any real rules. Like, you might think you just add an S, right? So dog is dogs, cat is cats, like that. These are pretty basic, but a lot of plurals we have separate words for and all these little rules, right? Like city is cities, right? That's not a huge difference, but person, well, you have a different word, people, right? I'm just doing this to illustrate how nice and simple Korean is. Mouse is mice, right? Life is lives. Like you have to change the spelling and pronunciation. And then some of the worst ones, well, I mean, we could get to worst ones like octopus apparently is octopi, or I think it's also octopuses. I think there are 2 for octopus, if I remember correctly. And then other things like fish, fish is just fish. Like, I'm not going to go on to all of this because we're not learning English, but I just want to make it clear that we have it really easy not having to learn English for this. Unless you're not a native English speaker, in which case, I'm sorry, but we're not doing that for this. Korean, that's it. Now you have a plural. So if you have dog, 강아지. Well, how do you say dogs? 강아지들. If you have fish, 생선. Or 물고기, depending on what you're saying. 생선, technically you could do 생선들. We'll talk about why you might not, but you could. 생선들, fishes, right? Fish. Chi, mouse. Instead of going to mice, it's just 쥐들, mice. So very easy. No exceptions to that. Okay. Now you might think this is really easy, but it gets easier because Most of the time, you don't even need this. Most of the time, if you want to say dogs or mice or fish or people or cities or any plurals, you can actually just say 강아지, dogs. I like dogs. 강아지 좋아해요. I like dogs. There's no S, there's no plural, but it's understood. It's not necessary to make something plural in Korean unless it's necessary to make something plural in Korean. Most of the time, it can be understood by the context. Most of the time, you do not need to use 들 at all. So, if you wanted to say, when I was in Korea, I went to 10 cities. This is not how you'd say that. Let me at least write it so in case someone's not a complete beginner, they're not going to learn something wrong. Okay, if you wanted to say, I went to 10 cities, that's the order you would use it. You wouldn't say like 도시들 10개 or something like that. 10군데 could be places. Let's find a better example. That's a little bit difficult for that word. Well, we'll keep it like this. Let's say you bought okay, let's just do something simple. Pen. Let's say you bought 10 pens. In English, you'd have to say pens, right? Because it's more than one. But pen 10개 means 10 pens. There is no plural because it can be understood easily from the context. In fact, you couldn't not say pens because I bought 10 pen, just sounds kind of weird. So you would easily understand from the context anytime there's a number involved. 100%, if there's a number involved or anything that indicates there's many of something, you would never want to use 들 to make it a plural because that would just sound awkward to say 펜들 10개 샀어요. I bought 10 pens. Another example is if you're already using a verb that says there's a lot. Again, more than one. 많다 means to be many. So if you were to say 펜이 많아요, there are lots of pens, you would never say 펜들이 많아요 because it just sounds awkward. You would just say 펜이 많아요. 펜 많아요. There are lots of pens. Or like 많은 펜을 샀어요. Like I bought many pens. I guess you could say it that way too. Typically though, it's not used that way. But anyway, anytime it's clear, you don't need to use 들. Actually, to make it simply, most of the time you do not need to use 들. Most of the time it will be understood from the context, whether you mean a plural or a singular noun. If you wanted to say, you bought pens. I bought. 샀어요. Past tense of 사다. 펜을 샀어요. I bought pens. Or 펜을 샀어요. I bought a pen. Both of these could work. So if you needed to specify that I bought one pen, you could instead say 펜 한 개를 샀어요. Literally, I bought 하나. I bought one. 한 개. I bought one pen. Otherwise, if you just said 펜 샀어요, it could mean I bought pens or I bought a pen, and it'll probably be clear from the context. So I'll give you an example. If I hold up a pen and say 이 펜을 샀어요, I bought this 이 pen. This pen. It doesn't mean these pens, but if I were to hold up a bunch of pens and say 이 펜을 샀어요, then it means I bought these pens, right? There's no ambiguity. You understand exactly what it is. So you don't need to add 들 to make something plural because most of the time it's understood. In this case, I'm holding up the pens. However, what if you're not holding up pens? You're just wanting to tell your friend yesterday for no reason that you bought pens. Yesterday, 어제 펜을 샀어요. I bought a pen yesterday. I bought pens yesterday. You have to ask yourself, does it matter that my friend knows I bought more than one pen? And if so, then you can say, maybe, 펜들을 샀어요. 펜들 샀어요. I bought pens. Or you can just say, pen, the number, 많이 샀어요. I bought a lot of pens. Or 한 개 샀어요. You can specify. If you don't specify though, you don't really need to add to. So again, if you want it to be clear that it's multiple, just add like many. I bought a lot of pens, or how many pens you bought. I bought 10개, I bought 10 pens, or 1, or whatever. Specify with numbers. You don't need to specify by making it a plural. So most of the time, you do not need to use this. All right. Okay, hopefully that's clear. We're not done. There's a little more to this. Oops. Okay. 이 도시, this city. So in this city, 편의점 is a convenience store. 편의점이 많아요. So there are many convenience stores in this city. This sentence is done. But if you were to say, let's take a look at this example. Here, if we were to look at this example, there might be a reason why we might add to. 이 도시에, so in this city, 편의점, convenience store, 편의점이 있어요. 있어요. There are, it exists. So if you're saying a convenience store exists in this city, if you say this, it could mean possibly like one, depending on the context. Maybe you're talking about a really small city and you say 이 도시에, or maybe in this village or something. 이 마을에 편의점이 있어요. That could sound like, well, there is a convenience store in this village or in this city. If you want it to be really clear that there are multiple, you could add to. Now it's convenience stores. So now you have, there are convenience stores in this city. But unless you think it could be vague, right? Unless it's like maybe for a small city or a place where you think they wouldn't have a convenience store, you don't need it. But that could be an example of where you might need it if it's vague. Again, you probably don't need to add to your sentence. You probably don't. Okay. I just wanted to give you some examples of when you might want to, but again, you most likely don't need to. So when would you even use this, right? I've just spent a bunch of times telling you now in various different ways you don't need this, but when might you want? When might you want to use this? Well, this is still used. You can use this when you're talking about any noun in general. So what that means is if you don't care and you don't know how many of something there are, when it doesn't matter, as The Rock says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think, what does he say? It doesn't matter what your name is, something like that. Anyway, if it doesn't matter, you don't care, you don't know how many something there is, so you're talking about it just in general, like houses, who cares how many houses I'm talking about? Those houses in the other neighborhood, all of them, I don't care if it's 1 or 50. That's when you can and you might want to add to. Because, again, it makes it plural and it just sounds, because it's normally unnecessary, when you do add it, it kind of just makes it, without caring, a plural. In this situation, it can sound fine to add to. Again, it's kind of like saying, in general, I don't care how many there are. I don't know how many there are. Just I know it's a plural. That's all you're saying. I don't know. It could be 1, but it could be 50 or 100. I don't care. I don't know. Those houses over there, those convenience stores that I passed by back there. I don't know. Were there 3 of them? Like that. That's when you can add to into a sentence. So if we were to use our example before, 편의점, if we're talking about convenience stores, 편의점은, you can say a convenience store is a convenient place to buy snacks. You could say that. 편의점들은, convenience stores in general I don't really care how many I'm talking about. Just, you know, those stores, convenience stores. And then you can talk about convenience stores. You're not talking about every convenience store in the world. You're not talking about one specific store. It's just you're talking about them in general. You're not talking about any specific number. That's when to can get used. So if you just wanted to make a statement about convenience stores in general, 편의점들은 something, 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 whatever you want to say. You know, oh, they always have the best chicken. You could say that with 편의점들 if you want, or you could just say it with 편의점은. And that's also convenience stores. So you don't need it, but if you add it, it implies no, I'm making this plural about multiple stores. I want you to think that I'm talking about multiple stores, but it doesn't matter how many. So that's kind of the feeling you get when you add to. Okay. Let me give you another way you can think about this. That might help. If you're using this in general, it can kind of sound like saying, I'm talking about all those people. I'm talking about all those dogs. I'm talking about all those stores. I'm talking about all those houses, whatever like that. It can kind of have that sort of feeling. All of those things are like that. Or if you're talking about a person, if you're using this after people, then it could be like saying, for example, if you say you all, it's kind of like saying that. You all, I don't know how many there are. It's just plural. Again, it emphasizes that there are plural of whatever noun you're talking about, but it doesn't specify how many, and it doesn't even care how many there are. The speaker doesn't know. So that's what it's used for. Okay, I think that's all for this part. Oh, yes. And then there's one more thing you should know about too. This is also very important. There is one exception to using to. And this exception, I think, causes a lot of confusion for learners because you will see to used in this case. When you're talking about people, it is very common to add to. Like 사람, any sort of person, or 분 if you're talking honorifically. 선생님 for a teacher. Maybe like 학생 for a student. Anything like that. 친구. Any sort of human that you're talking about, it is common to add to when you mean plural. So if you're talking about a person, you can use 사람. If you're talking about people, you could also use 사람. But it's okay and it's common to say 사람들, 분들, 친구들, 선생님들, 학생들. It's common, it's okay, but again, it's not required. You can say the same thing by just removing to. It's optional. I might recommend adding it if you want to be clear that you're talking about more than one person. But if it doesn't need to be specified, like I'm actually talking about many people, if you don't need that, don't add it. But if you do, it sounds okay. It sounds natural. So that's the exception when this will sound very natural to use it. But again, it's not required. Okay. But because that, I think people see that and they get confused because they'll see it used after, sorry, my nose is a little itchy. They'll see it used after some of these words and they'll be like, oh, well, maybe I should use it then because people use it after like 사람들. You'll see like, oh, 한국 사람들, like Koreans or 미국 사람들. You'll see it a lot. But again, you don't need it. You could just say 한국 사람은 like that. But if you say 한국 사람들은, it's also acceptable. It's also natural sounding. But you don't need it, but it's natural. So that's the exception. Oh, Samata. Thank you, Samata. Is that like a different language version of Samantha? Someone said, does he ever read the chat? Yes. Okay, I'm going to read the chat for a second, but let me just write down an example sentence. Yeah, I was in the zone for a bit because I wanted to get everything down, make sure we're staying on time. Okay. This example, 친구를 만났어요. 친구를 만났어요. I met a friend, or I met friends. Either is fine and natural, but you could say 친구들, 친구들을 만났어요. Now it's I met friends, multiple friends. But again, you probably don't need to say this. Like, if you met your friends, you're probably going to talk about who you met right after you say this or before you say this, or it's going to already be clear whether you met like one friend or multiple friends, or maybe it doesn't even matter. But you could use to after a person. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. And then before we go on to the next usage of to. Okay, make sure I don't miss any chat. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Octopi and octopoid. Is poid a third one? I know octopuses and octopi are both accepted because I heard that the word comes from like a different, you could assume that it came from two different parts of language or two different languages, something like that. And then they can have two different ways to become plural. Yeah, French plurals, no thanks. Okay, I'm going to scroll up, just checking here. Okay, give me a second to catch up for with the chat. Moose and moose, that's right. I thought it was meese. Isn't it meese? Like, you know, goose and geese, moose and meese. I'm kidding. Please don't learn English from me. Yeah, we don't differentiate between the live fish and the ones we eat. They're all fish. That is correct. I'm expecting 10 guests. Would you specify? If you wanted to make the sentence, Miss Steamer, you would say 10명. You would just say like 손님 10명. So like 손님 is guest, 10명 is 10 people. You would just specify. If you wanted to say like I'm expecting a lot of guests, 손님, or 많은 손님, many guests, you can say it like that. You don't, but again, you wouldn't need to say 손님들 unless you wanted to talk about those guests in general. Like the guests, 손님들은, the guests were all, you know, annoying. Then you could say 손님들은 to make it clear, like I'm talking about, you know, multiple guests. But if you don't need to in context, if you don't need to add that plural, you don't. 안녕하세요, 친구들. Hey, Tanya. 안녕하세요, 친구들. Yeah. 친구들, 안녕. Oh, a tip for you, Tanya. I know this is unsolicited advice. You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you because other people are going to learn from it. Anytime you're giving a greeting to someone in English, we most often say the greeting first and then the person. Like, hey, man, you know, hello, 철수, like that. Korean, it's the opposite. 철수, 안녕. 친구들, 안녕. Or 안녕하세요, like that. The person you're addressing will go before the greeting you want to say. That's just a pro tip. Now, you can say it the other way, but it's more commonly said the other way. 고기 is like 소고기, but 물고기 you don't eat. Yeah, there's actually a historical reason behind that. It wasn't. It was the other way around. And I remember hearing something about 물고기 was the original word for all fish. I'd have to check before I give you wrong information about this, but there is something to that. There's a reason why. Travis, you're welcome. Just read your message. You're on the lesson 11. Okay, let's just getting here, catching up. 분 is extremely polite version of person. Yes, it's the extremely polite version of 사람. So you wouldn't use it for yourself. Like you wouldn't say 저는 like 미국 분이에요. That would be weird. But you can say other people are something 분 like that. And it sounds very polite. Tanya, thank you. I just saw Tanya also sent a donation. We are at 3 out of 10 for our goal to talk about the podcast for today. Moose. Yes. Okay. Now I'm caught up finally on the chat. Oh, Jason says in an interview, someone asked the frontman actor who the pink guards are and just answered 배우들. Yeah. Actors. He could have said 배우, but in this case, if he's answering so short, like instead of saying, you know, actor, that he wants to say all of them, are actors, is what he's saying with 배우들. 배우들. So he's being funny if people ask, who are the pink people? Because he, instead of saying what the question probably was asking him to describe their role in the story. But he's being a little bit cheeky and he's like, actors. Because I've seen that guy and he's kind of a goofball. All right. When I get a pet fish, I'm naming it 물고기. Name it 생선. Just name it 생선. Name it its fate as fish that you're going to eat. Okay. Am I using native or Sino-Korean numbers? You'll use both, but I'm not using numbers at all in this lesson. So, I mean, I use them for an example, but you don't need to know them for this lesson because that was the beginner part of this lesson. Everything else we're going to be doing today is more in the intermediate level. So, I'm going to tell you about another special particle. It looks the same, but I promise you, it's different. It's actually the exact same thing. But you can use this particle to after a word. Now, I'm not saying noun because not only can you use it after a noun, but you could also use it after an adverb or even after a whole phrase. I wrote that all weird. So this is technically the same thing, but the way it works is a little bit different. Now, before you learn how to use to like this, just know this is only for speech. It's not supposed to be used like this in writing. It sounds a bit strange. It doesn't sound like formal and written. It sounds like a spoken usage of to. With that said, this is not slang. This is not like informal usage. It's still polite, but it's only for speech. So also I will say this usage is less common than the main usage. So if you've already learned how to use to, you're good. You will not need to use this, maybe ever, but you will hear it sometimes. So I'm going to be teaching you. Again, so what is this? What's going on? How come you can use to after an adverb or after a phrase? What does that even mean? What would that mean? Because what does to do? Again, think back. I gave you a hint. I said it was going to come in handy. All to does is says that there is a plural subject. So what does that mean? That means there's subject is like someone or something doing something, right? Like I go to the store. Well, I am a subject. Or like kimchi is spicy. Well, kimchi is a subject. Pretty much anything that you would use the subject marker for, you can think could be a subject. So like any noun, right? So if you use to after one of those words, it just means that there are multiple of that subject. And again, I said that's not necessary because you can always tell from the context. Like almost always, you can tell from the context if something's plural or not. But what if there is no noun at all? What if you're putting to after an adverb? What the heck does that mean? Like, I'll give you an example. Oh, it's dried. This was new. I literally just pulled this out last week. 안녕하세요. Everyone knows this, right? But what if we did something a little bit strange here? I'm just kidding, except I'm not. You can actually do this. What the heck's going on here? What is happening with this? Well, again, all to does is says that there is a plural subject, but there is no subject. No one's doing anything, right? What is the subject of the sentence? Can you say 안녕하세요가 like e or ga like with the subject marker? I mean, you could if you're talking about the expression hello. No, you're not going to be. There is no subject here. But there is. The subject, when it's not specified for a phrase, is... Does anyone know? Can anyone take a guess? I'll let you take a guess. Please only take a guess if you don't already know what this is. If you already know, just be quiet. Let the newbies give it a try. I want to see if anyone can guess it. Yes, I'll let you guess for a bit. Oh, hey, Small. Did I miss something? Why would you leave? Oh, I see. Kai's talking about for it being a little bit difficult. Yes. No, you're okay, Kai. Plurals for everyone. Yeah. Yes. It's the other person. It's the person that this phrase is talking about. Now, that doesn't have to be the person you're talking with directly, though, because if I say 안녕하세요 to one person, like, this is not talking and saying that there are many of the one person. That doesn't make any sense. It basically duplicates whatever you're putting behind it, in front of it. So, 안녕하세요, 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 안녕하세요. It duplicates whatever you're putting before it. So what would that be used for? If I'm saying hello to my friend, 안녕하세요, I could not say 안녕하세요들 because that would be like this. 안녕하세요, 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 안녕하세요. Like they're gone. I might get out 2 or 3 of those before they like get embarrassed and walk away. But when could you use this then? Because this is a real thing. If there are multiple people in the room, you could say that, right? 안녕하세요, 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 right? That's fine. That's what this 들 does. It simply repeats whatever is before it. And it does the same thing with nouns too. Like if you say person, 사람, it's just person. But if you say 사람들, it's like person, 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 person. That's what this is doing at a technical level. 안녕하세요들, 안녕하세요들. Now you don't have to say 안녕하세요, 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 안녕하세요. Like you could do that, or you could just say 안녕하세요 if you're giving a general speech like hello. But if you say 안녕하세요, again, the feeling it has is 안녕하세요, 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 안녕하세요. That's what you get. So you don't have to do this. Again, it's not a requirement when you're addressing multiple people. Just like, woo, I dropped it. Just like using 들 with a noun, you don't need to use it. But if you do use it, it means that whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, this expression is addressed to multiple people. So it is just like pointing at each person and saying hello. But you're not limited to only using it after phrases, because I said you could also use it after adverbs too, right? What if we did this? 안녕들 하세요. It's the exact same meaning. 안녕, kind of. You're not using casual speech to them, keep in mind, because this sentence is still polite. It ends with 하세요. It's still formal. Actually, not formal. Honorific. It's still polite, but now it's like saying, 하세요, are you guys all? 안녕, to you, to you, to you, to you, to you. Are you all that? It's kind of a slightly different nuance, but the exact same meaning. So for all intensive purposes, that's totally correct expression. No, in all intents and purposes, this is the same thing. You don't need to learn this as different. 안녕들 하세요 is the exact same meaning as 안녕하세요들. Instead of saying 안녕하세요, 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 it's like saying, are you all 안녕s? Are you all 안녕s? Like that. It's okay. It's either one is fine. You'll hear both. They have the exact same meaning and the exact same usage. So you'll hear both. Let's do another one. This fell out. Not supposed to fall out. Okay, anyway, I got this. I started using it last week. I like it. It works pretty good. It just doesn't have a magnet on it, but it works okay. All right, let's do another one. 안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요. So when you say 안녕히 is like in peace, peacefully, nicely. 가세요, go. So that's how you say goodbye politely to someone who's leaving. 안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요. What if you're saying goodbye to multiple people and you want that let's say you're saying goodbye to multiple people and you want the nuance of you're saying it to them individually and not just as a group. It's like individually directed at them, one at a time. Well, you could just say 안녕히 가세요들. 안녕히 가세요들. To each and every one of you, 안녕히 가세요 is the nuance that you get. Or 안녕히들 가세요. Go peacefully, each of you. Goodbye, each of you. Like that. Again, only for speech. You're not going to write this. If you write it, it sounds like you're speaking it. So just use it in speech. And in fact, you don't need to use it. Because if you just say 안녕히 가세요 to a group of people, it's addressing them as a group. It's totally fine. You don't need to address them individually. But if you want to, this is how you do it. Same thing. Let's do one more example. 잘했어요. Good job. 잘들 했어요. Yeah, good job, everyone. Or you could do it. 잘했어요들. Good job, good job, good job, good job. That's the nuance that you get. Okay. That is most of what you need to know to use 들 for all difficulty levels. There are also a couple other things you should know, though. Let's talk about some exceptions. Okay, 너 is a way to say you that's kind of talking down to someone or putting them on your same social level. You wouldn't do this unless they're your close friend who's the same age as you or younger. But if you have multiple friends who are the same age as you as younger, if you have multiple friends that are the same age as you or younger and you want to talk to multiple of them, you guys, 너희. That's a normal way to say use. 우리 is we, so us, or if you want to be extra polite, 저희. 저, me, and he makes it plural. 저희 is plural. Oh, I got a donation, so I'm going to look at that before I tell you what I'm going to do here. Michaela, thank you so much. DK is the Donkey Kong currency? Hold on, I got to convert Donkey Kong to US. How much is that? Oh, that's right. That's Danish. That's the Danish one. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's like $14 almost. This may be my 8th month since starting Korean. Wow. So incredibly happy that I'm still going strong. Awesome. Let's like that comment. Donkey Kong currency is crazy. Yeah, you never know how many bananas you're going to get. No, that's really cool. And I've looked that one up before. I've searched DKK to USD several times. And then there's so many different currencies that I see, though, from the stream because everyone's in different countries. I think it's kind of cool that it's not only people from the US that are watching me, that I get people from... Actually, put in the chat, where are you all watching from? I'll read it as soon as I give you this explanation, but write in the chat, where are you watching from today? I'm just curious. Who do we have? And thank you again to Michaela. Okay. There's one more thing you can do here. So, 너희, you guys, 우리, us, or the more polite version, 저희, us. Well, this is plural, right? 너희. The he already makes it plural. Like you and you and you and you. What's going? What's happening here? What's happening here? Well, how come you might see these? And when I say you might, I mean you will. Now these are not standard, but I'm not going to go and say that they're wrong because you're going to see them. Instead of saying 우리, you might hear 우리들, 우리들은, 저희들은, 너희들. But fortunately, there's an easy explanation to this. Pretend it doesn't exist. You're fine. It's just more emphasis. You might see to attached onto words like this that are already plural, in which case you can just ignore it. It's the same thing, but it's sometimes used for more emphasis. However, don't add to onto regular pronouns. What I mean is, don't say like tol or na. Don't do like nader or tolder or anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. Me's. Tol is me, and it's like humble, so tolder would be like me's and the other me's that are here. I mean, I guess there might be an exception if you are like a clone. If you're standing next to your clone, you can be like tolder. Maybe I think that would be the only exception. And I'm totally joking, but I'm also kind of not. But I think that would be the only exception that you could say tolder, is if there were multiple of you. But still, you wouldn't do that. I'm thinking if you are like designing a drawing and you're talking about all the little me's in the drawing, you still wouldn't use holder. You would use your own name. Like if your name was Charsu, you'd still say like 조그마한 Charsu들은. You'd say like the little tiny Charsus. You would say you would say the name, even if it's your own name. So you really wouldn't use this. These are just for the editing. These you will never use. So yeah, just be careful. Okay, now you are a master of te. You can use it in the beginning stages. You can use it as an intermediate speaker. Now we are ready to go over the more intermediate level grammar form, the more intermediate level particle. In fact, I'd almost say that this is an advanced level particle because you're really not going to use it that much in the intermediate level, but you will use it when you start getting fluent. In the fluent level, you're really going to use this a lot. But yeah. So now let's talk about the particle 네, which is less common than te and more difficult. But before I do that, I'm going to check to see where everyone's watching from, because I asked that question. Oh, Keith. Keith, thank you. Got another donation from Keith. Hey, we're halfway toward the donation goal for talking about the podcast. If anyone wants to hear about the podcast, if not, I will be making a post about that probably later this week on Patreon. But I'm not going to give it too much detail for that. But if we do hit the donation goal, I'll talk about it a little bit early today. Thank you, Keith. 돈들이 줄 거. Please don't use 돈들. Please. I will give you, okay, you know, this is weird. Don't do it. Yes, I will give you more monies. It sounds weird in English too. I will give you more monies. Yes. Okay. Like, I remember I had a guy I knew who was joking. He'd use this incorrectly on purpose all the time. And he would say like, 물들을 마셔야 돼요. I have to drink waters. Like, 물들. It's like, what? No, don't say that. You don't even make it plural in English. Why are you doing it in Korean? Okay, let's see where everyone's from. Canada, USA, UK, Poland, Norway, England, South Africa, Sweden, Ireland, Romania, Bulgaria. Nice. My younger brother actually just took a fun trip there. I think by himself or maybe with a friend for like last week. I don't know what he did, but he said he ate lots of those wraps, you know, like the chicken wraps. You know what I'm talking about. He said he ate those like every single day. Costa Rica, Slovenia. Nice. Oh, we got two people from Slovenia. I thought I was reading a double post, but with two different people. Nova Scotia, Canada. Nova Scotia. Don't you say? Is that, don't know. That's not a Canada thing. It's like a Northwestern American thing. Oh, don't you know? Or maybe that's North. Anyway, it's not from California. North Carolina, Spain, Belgium, Michigan, Trinidad. I'm in the US. Scotland. You have to say that more angry. Ontario, Canada. Nice. Kentucky. LA, San Fernando Valley. Nice. Ohio, California. From Seoul. Ukraine. Nice. Florida. I'm in NS. Is that Nova Scotia abbreviation? Cool. Watching from New York, Brazil. I often hear streamers, YouTubers say 여러분들. Yes. It's like saying 여러분. I mean, it's not really like saying that, but it just emphasizes that you're talking to multiple people. So instead of saying hello everyone, it's like all of you out there, everyone. Hello everyone, all of you. And it just has more emphasis, but you don't need it. You can just say 여러분 안녕하세요. 여러분들 안녕하세요 is the same thing, but it's just more emphatic and it's not necessary. But that's why I was mentioning you can use it for already plural words. 여러분 is one, 다 is another one. You'll hear 다들 also, which is the less formal version or the less, I'd say informal version of 여러분. 다들 also means you, all you. It's just less polite than 여러분. Who or what is correcting our chats? What do you mean correcting? Egypt. Nice. 너희들이야. 너희들. 야, 너희들. You would just say 너희들. Are you trying to translate, hey, you guys, from Goonies? But you wouldn't need the yeah, because that would be like, it is you guys. But the rest is fine. And 너희 is not as common as 니들, which is incorrect Korean, but commonly used for the same meaning. Let's see. Bulgaria. Nice. Yeah, I'm just checking to see where everyone else is watching from. Frozen Dragoon says America. Nice. Germany. Brazil. Zil. Scotland forever. I'm Scottish. I saw that the Power Rangers meme. Yes, 2 people from Slovenia. We have someone from Hungary. The bottom of the world, New Zealand. I would love to visit New Zealand. That's one place I would like to go. I just can't afford it. You get a hello. You get a hello. Yes, exactly. That's just like the like Oprah Winfrey. This is the Oprah Winfrey particle. Okay, Hawaii and Belgium. Okay, so let's talk about this particle, ne. Now, this is not the word ne meaning yes, although that's also spelled the same way. This is attached only after pronouns. So what is a pronoun? Well, I is a pronoun, you is a pronoun, he is a pronoun, she is a pronoun. Does anyone else know like Raffi? Am I the only person who knows Raffi? Anyway, pronoun would be like I, you, he, she, like that in English. But in Korean, that would be like a person's name as well. So it includes names. And what this means is actually very simple. Ne means, I'll write it up first. People of the same kind, or people who are of the same class as each other. Again, people. So just by adding ne, this also makes whatever word you use it after plural by default. Again, write this down. Ne means people of the same kind and class as whatever you put it after. So for a really quick example, if we were to say something like our friend Tursu, if we say Tursu ne, it means Tursu. It means people of the same kind and class as Tursu. And this also includes that pronoun. In this case, if we were to say Tursune, it means people of the same kind and class as Tursu, which obviously would therefore include Tursu himself. So it's like Tursu and other people that are in the same kind of class as he is, or the same kind of people as charsu is what it means. And this is not a racist thing. This is used for grouping. It's very simple to use it, but I just want to make sure you write this down first. So, by kind or class, what this specifically means is, oh, I need some more space. A family, first of all, obviously, people who are the same kind or the same class as charsu, for example, would be charsu's family. So, charsu and family. Charsu-ne, charsu and family. But it doesn't have to only be family, because it's any person that belongs to a group, could be a family, or an organization, like maybe a company. You know, companies sometimes do that kind of thing where they'll be like, hey, we're all a family here, which really just means they're not going to give you very many hours and they're not going to pay you. But it's kind of the same idea. You're in a group of people, the same kind of family. You're in a family, right? I think family is the best way to look at this. So person and family. Or the charsus, if you want to look at it like that. The Kims, like that. It's that group, including the person who you're using it after. Okay, I'm gonna go slowly, so I don't want to rush, but I'm gonna check the chat for a second and then we'll continue. Favorite kids movie is Goonies? Lady Natbug. Let me see, was Goonies my favorite kids movie? I'm trying to think. I think Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a bigger one for me. Goonies was good though. Yeah, Raffi did the banana phone. Ring, 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 banana phone. Yeah. Coco Melon before Coco Melon. That's a good analogy. I believe I've met Raffi before as a little kid. Was he like friends with my family? I have some weird memory of my mom telling me that we're friends with Raffi. Maybe it was just saying we met him. Anyway, I'd have to ask my mom for more clarity on that. But anyway, yeah. So I have like cassette tape from him that I got when I was like probably 3 or 4. Goonies was definitely in the top. Goonies is good. It's a good movie. They're totally going to remake that movie, you know. 동네. Not 동네. Vin Diesel would likely use it. 김간에. Yeah? 김간에. Yep. The Kim's house. So House of Kim. Okay. We're not done. I mean, of course that's not. I'm not just going to leave you there. I want to go slow because this is actually a very advanced level topic. Despite it not being extremely hard, using it yourself is advanced level. Understanding it, I'd say, would be intermediate for in context. So I don't want to rush. So the way that this works, again, you have a person or whoever plus ne. So you can kind of think of it as like that person and their family or their group or their organization or company, kind of like that. But the way that it works is actually more like this, the possessive marker. You know, like apostrophe S. And we kind of do this in English too. Like, let's take the last name Kim. If we were to say like the family Kim, Kimga, Kimgane. So if you were to say the family of Kim, it's kind of like Kim's. Why can't I write English now? It was just coming out in Korean. I was trying to write K. Kind of like if you were to say, actually, let me switch this. Whenever I'm teaching, I'm always like considering how am I going to be editing this later? So to make it easier for editing so it's not confusing. Let me just do it like this. in English, if you were to say like the last name of Kim, if you were to attach apostrophe S, Kim's, kind of doesn't just mean Kim owns it, but it could also mean like, here, this is Kim's. Like, I went to Kim's the other night, right? It's like Kim's what? Well, Kim's house, kind of has that feeling. And Korean is kind of similar in how it works. It means, again, that person and their family or their group or companies, something. So something that is owned by or belongs to or is a part of that person and their family or their group or their organization or company. That's what this particle means. So it's a little bit complicated because there are multiple parts, but if you just learn it like that, it should help you at least to use it and understand it. Okay, so again, it shows ownership, just like this particle, but it's ownership not by that one person, but by that person and their family or group or organization. And it shows that it shows that thing is owned by or is a part of a family or group or organization. And the reason you might want to use this is because it doesn't just show that it's owned by one person, but by that group or company. Let me give you an example. I mean, if you understand that, if you're okay at where we're at, that's it. You've now mastered ne. There is no other like usage rules you need to learn. There are a couple more tips I'll give you after this, like in some examples, but that's how it works. So let's see a simple example. Actually, I don't want to use, it's too close to red. I don't want to write Charsu's name in red. I like Charsu. I disrespect him, but I still like him. Let's do blue. Okay. Again, the way this works is like the possessive marker 의, which is pronounced as a when it's used as the possessive marker. 철수의 집 is the normal way to say 철수's house. And it just means 철수's house. 철수 owns the house. It's 철수's house. But if something's not owned by one person, you're probably not going to say it's 철수's house unless he's living there by himself, right? Charsu lives there with his mom and dad and his pet goldfish and his younger brother. It's not Charsu's house. It's Charsu's family's house. But you don't need to say like 철수의 가족의 집. That's like really long. The house of Charsu's family sounds awkward. But you could say the Charsu's house in that sense. 철수 내 집. So this is again Charsu and his family's house. So Charsu's family's house. 철수 내 집. And this would be a more natural way to say, yeah, I went to Charsu's house because it's not implying Charsu owns the house. If you just said 철수의 집에 놀러 갔어요, they'll understand what you mean. But it's more accurate to say 철수 내 집 because Charsu doesn't own the house. In fact, Charsu probably doesn't even make payments on the rent. I'm sure his parents do. Okay, let's do another example though. Let me give you some more examples. I would write down these sorts of words, like any sort of building. It's not common to say the possessive marker, this, with buildings. If you want to say like, I went to my friend Mark's company. It's not his company. He didn't buy it. He doesn't own it. He's not the CEO. It's 마크 내 회사, 철수 내 집, 우리 내 학교. Or, actually, if it's the one you own, it could be someone's 학교. So like, 철수 내 학교. Obviously, it's not Charsu's school, but it's the one that Charsu is a member of. He belongs to that group of people whose school it is. So buildings are really common. Another thing that's really common, actually, can anyone guess what else is not owned by one person, but might be kind of communal? Like what else could be shared by multiple people that don't, it's not just owned by one person? Can anyone think of it before I tell you? I don't want to spoil it. Oh, the gym? Sure, the gym. It's not your gym. I remember years ago, Charsu was a baby eater. Yes. Days in Zade. I can't read your name. I'm sorry, but you're asking about tek. No, tek is equivalent to chip. Tek is the honorific version of chip, or I shouldn't say honorific. Yeah. It makes the house honorific. So it's for talking about someone else's house who you want to be polite to. Instead of saying their chip, you would say their tek. But this is not related to ne. 화장실, sure. Animals, vehicles, public transit. I mean, you probably wouldn't say my subway in the first place. His subway. I went on his subway. You wouldn't say that in the first place, but I guess if you wanted to, then technically, yeah, it's not their subway. But there wouldn't, I can't think of a situation where you would use public transportation with the possessive anyway, to say someone's train, someone's, but airplane, sure. But no one's going to own the subway or bathroom. Sports team. Okay. Someone got it. Javik got it. Another common place you're going to see this is with pets, because one person doesn't own the pet. It's the family's pet. Like, instead of saying it's my cat, you might say, oh, it's my family's cat, right? In English, we don't need to do this. We'll just say, oh, it's my cat or her cat, or, you know, it doesn't really matter because we don't really care. But in Korean, it matters. If you say like, 저의 고양이, it's like my cat. Like, you live alone. I am the only person who feeds them. They will die without me. Like, I am the only person who watches them. Like, you're doing everything. They belong to you. Most of the time, people have pets. It's like, it's at their parents' house, or their parents are living with them, and, you know, they're all under one roof, and it's their house's cat. It's more common to say, like, 철수네 고양이. Or you could even say, like, 철수네 강아지. Like, or 우리 집 고양이. That's another way you could do this, which emphasizes that it's the cat at my house. We're not going to be covering that for today's lesson, but that's another common way of saying, like, my pet. But you wouldn't say, like, it belongs to one person for an animal, because it's a part of multiple. It's a part of a group. The cat or a pet is a part of a family. So it wouldn't be common to just use like 철수의 고양이. For 철수's cat, you'd probably say 철수 내 고양이. Or again, you could say 철수의 집의 고양이. Like 철수 집 고양이. Anyway, there are other ways you could do this, but we're not going to be talking about those today. Basically, anything that's not just owned by one person, you're going to want to use 내 instead of 의 to show ownership of that. Let's see. What else do we need to talk about? Okay. Most of the time, though, you really will just use this with buildings. You're not going to see this a ton, but you'll see it pop up before a building. That's all it means. One more thing we have to talk about. Actually, did I said pronoun, but let me see. Let me change this explanation, because person. I'm going to rewrite something. 내 is used after a person. So that can be like, you know, in English, you might say, like, oh, he or she, or 철수, or whoever we're talking about, but it'll be a person. In case I need to edit that in, the reason is you don't use 내 after like the words me or you. Like, you're not going to say 저네, for example. But there is an exception. No, for you, for talking about someone who's the same age as you or younger, there is the word nolne. Nolne. That means you and your family, which is okay to use. However, note that it's very casual. So this is like, you and your family, like that, you and your group, you guys. But it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not really like plural you. It's just you and the people around you, and usually referring to, you and your family, you guys, like that. Or you and your group, if you're talking to another group of people, nolne, like you guys, as in you and the group you're currently in, like a group of friends. That also works. Again, very casual though. There's one more thing though I need to tell you. You might also see it used like this. Nolne te. Again, this is not necessary because nolne already makes it you and the other people in your group. Nolne te just says like you and the other people in your group, and the other people and they're plural, and there are many of them. It doesn't change the meaning. It just makes it a little more emphatic, like you guys, all you guys. Again, very casual. I don't recommend using it, but if you see it, it's the same thing. However, you might also see this. Same thing. Neither is the same thing. It's just a casual, technically incorrect version. I don't recommend using it, but I recommend knowing it. Yeah, very casual, like all you guys over there, hi, you all use. It kind of sounds like saying all use. Like it's wrong, but it's still fairly common. Okay, so just be aware of that. You might also see these other versions. But that's all there is to using ne. There is one more thing you can do with it. Ye is short for this dude, this girl, this person. K is k, that person. And te is also that person. So like this person, this dude, this girl, this dude here, or K, that dude, that guy, that girl, whatever, that person. These are casual ways to refer to like this dude, this guy, girl, and that person, this person and that person, like that. These can also be combined with they as well. In the same way. So like all yous and your group here, all you guys here, you're one group. All you guys over there, you're one group. And the same thing for tene. So you might see these as well. Again, same thing, very casual though. You will not use these to strangers because it doesn't sound polite. But you could be, yenenen, like all these guys here are, and you can say something like yenenen. And you also might hear to attached as well to these. Again, not necessary, but you might hear it. Yenede. Koreans don't necessarily follow all the rules, but they do what they want. I can't say that they can't. But yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's everything that you need to know about using ne. And there's nothing else to it, really. If you understand that it's used like a possessive marker to mean that person and their entire group or family, then you have mastered using ne. And that is the entire lesson. I'm going to take a quick screenshot for the thumbnail so I have something to put in the YouTube video. It's always like me pointing. I'm always pointing at something. I think like maybe like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll use that. Okay. I'm going to take some questions. We're going to do a short Q&A. I'll hang out for like maybe 20 minutes. If we do hit our donation goal, I'll stay a little bit extra. We'll talk about a podcast a bit, but feel free to ask any questions. And yeah, I'll stick around for at least 20 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes. Yes, church as well. 교회. 교회 would also be the same thing. You wouldn't say like 철수의 교회 unless Charsu's a cult leader. Is he a cult leader now too? Is Charsu a cult leader? Yeah, if Charsu is a cult leader, you can say 철수의 교회, and that would be exactly correct. The Church of Charsu. But if you're talking about, see, there's a good example when you need to use ne. because 철수의 교회 is the church of 철수, and 철수 내 교회 is 철수's church. You know, the church that 철수 and the other members of his church attend. So yeah, be careful about that. Oh, Kai said donation made via PayPal. I missed that. Sorry. I was so in the zone that I didn't even see. I don't see it yet. Wait, why don't I see it? I don't see it, Kai. Does it show? Did it show for you that it went through? Why don't I see it? Oh, let me check my PayPal. Maybe I can manually check it and that'll show it in here. Log in. Oops. I see it here. Why didn't I get an email from it? I see it. Yeah. Okay, for some reason, it didn't send me an email, but I see it. Thank you. Yes, that's right. I see it here. Okay. Yes, thank you, Kai. Let me put Kai's name up here. The $5 donation from Kai. A little flower. Can't draw a flower. PayPal donation doesn't push the goal. That's okay. Is ne also used in the word like? No, that's an older word for you. Is this similar to ki? No, it's not similar to ki. Are you talking about kiri? That would be like between us, like urikiri. Or 친구끼리, like just between the friends, like they were only doing something between them, or it's just between you and me, that sort of thing. Noah Deeps. Yes, I do have a link to all of the classes. I'll post that in the chat. There is a document I just posted in the chat which has every single live stream I've ever done and links to all of the outlines and worksheets, abbreviated versions and full lessons, as well as all the topics that I've covered. Took a long time to make that spreadsheet because I didn't start when I first did the classes. I decided later on to make that spreadsheet. And yeah, that was a mistake. I should have done that from the very beginning. We are followers of the Church of Tarsu. I'll give you the time of the day. If someone comes up to me and be like, "Oh, hey, we're from the Tarsu Egyoe," be like, "Okay, I'll take some time. Tell me his message." Did they glitch and steal my money? No, that I see that it got sent and it shows it was completed, but for some reason, it just didn't email it to me. But I can see it here. I don't know. Maybe it just glitched. No, I see it. It's fine. It worked. Thanks, Kai. It just didn't email me yet. Maybe it'll email me later. Adobe lawyers almost sued PayPal. I believe it. Okay. Is it related to the word ne for yes? No, it's not related to that. At least I don't think it is. I don't see any relation. Valeria says, can I say te 강아지 if I live by myself? Yes, you can. However, like you can, but that's not what Koreans will do. What Koreans typically will do for things that they own, but is a family member, and that includes pets, is instead of saying te or ne, which means like my, all mine, it's common to say 우리, because it's less like direct, like this is mine, like same for like, oh, my mother, my father, like my brother, like instead of saying te 엄마, like 우리 엄마 is much better, even if you're an only child. Because it just sounds like you're not claiming them as your own. Like they're my mother, but they're not my mother is what it sounds like. They're my pet, but they're not my pet is kind of what it sounds like. So you can say 우리 or 우리 집 optionally, like at my house. It just implies they're my house cat, my house dog, like that. 우리 집 고양이 or just 우리 고양이 is fine too. So either one. I think I prefer like 우리 집 is a little bit more clear. Like they're at my house. They're a member of my house. They're owned by my house. That sort of has a good feeling to it. But don't do 우리 집 for a family member. Don't do like 우리 집 아빠 or anything like that. It sounds like your dad is like, you're feeding your dad like they're your pet. So don't do that. Only for pets. You can add cheap if you want. What else can I say to refer 전에? You'd say 우리. You don't need, like I said, you wouldn't use 전에 or whatever. Billy probably never studied with Talk to Me. Yeah, I've never used their books. Their books came out in like around when right before I started my YouTube channel. They had the first few lessons. I was already speaking Korean long before then. So I'm from the Church of Tarsu as well. Don't enter church. I lost all of my money there. How did the Church of Tarsu take all of your money? Did they tithe you 100%? Is that their philosophy? The cat chose me. Yes. 2009 is when they started, though they didn't have lessons in 2009 that I remember. I think 2011 is when they started to have like lessons like that people knew of anyway, because I don't remember hearing about them before 2011. Although I know they started before then. But maybe it's 2010. I don't know. Kanu would probably know better than me because they're the ones who released them. Still not get. I don't know why PayPal still hasn't sent me any notification. That's weird. Usually they'll send me a notification within like a minute. Okay. They had audio clips and PDFs. Yeah, I don't know when they first started that. Maybe did they have it right when they launched? All I remember is that they had YouTube videos. I remember all of their early YouTube videos, which are now deleted. But I do remember them. You can't delete them from my mind. 대답 해주셔서 감사합니다. Yes, you're welcome, Valeria. Blue Moon is asking, is buying notebooks and stuff like that necessary right now for me? Or should I have all those after completing the beginner course? So Blue Moon, I have a free study notebook you can actually get on my Patreon page, but it's free. Check my channel for recent videos. I think I put it up. It was earlier this year, and I released a bunch of pages. I don't think I have them. I don't know if I have them here. I don't know if I printed them out or not. Are they here? I don't even know where I put them. Anyway, are these it? Oh yeah, here's it. Here they are. I made a free Korean notebook. This again, I'm not making any money on this, but it's free and I like it. There are different types of pages depending on what you're studying. So I have like, Hanja if you're more advanced. There are study pages for just quizzes, for general notes, for writing grammar. There's like a timetable for how much you're studying. There's just like blank note sheets. This one is the general one. You can't see it very well, I know, I'm sorry. If you look at my Patreon page though, you can see the full quality. And yeah, you could download these, print them out as many as you want, and staple them together and make a Korean study notebook. But that's what I would do. It has every type of notebook, note page, whatever it's called. It has every type of different paper for studying that you probably would ever need. And then a bunch of stuff that you won't need. So it'll have stuff for more advanced as well as stuff for more beginners. But you pick which ones you want. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How is this? Okay, the goal ends in 26 minutes. Oh, I just got one from Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. I saw it said 5 out of 10, and then I clicked and it jumped to 6 out of 10, and I saw that was Raymond. Thank you, Raymond. And Raymond says, 고맙습니다. 아니에요. You're welcome. Polygon says they took your credit card. That's not fun. At least they didn't take your kidney. I hate when that happens. Any tips for helping vocabulary stick? Yeah, the only way it's ever going to stick beyond just being in your vocabulary deck, where it doesn't stick, you're able to just, answer the vocabulary cards. It's only going to stick when you've had enough exposure to it. And the only way to get enough exposure to it is to do tons of input and then to practice it. If you only do input, it's not going to let it stick in your head. You have to actually then use it so that it'll really stick. So increase how much input you're doing in Korean by like 100, like as much as you can. Like hours a day if you can, but at least please do like 30 minutes of listening practice a day. That can just be like watching shows or anything, just so that your brain hears Korean on a regular basis. And then when you're doing the vocabulary cards, I recommend having a sentence on them. Maybe you can read that sentence aloud, or like an audio file with the sentence would be preferable. Not just the word, but an actual sentence. That's really all there is that you could do for that. And then you'll get more practice when you start speaking, when you'll get to actually use those words, and then they'll actually stick really well. Like for me, all of the commonly used words are already stuck. So I don't need to think about them if I'm translating them, which is nice. But if I'm trying to learn a word that's not so common, then those are the ones that might be harder. Like if I'm trying to learn, I want to learn like, what's that, Kwap song or whatever. I think it's photosynthesis. Like it's not going to stick ever unless I hear it used a lot. So since you're not going to ever hear that used a lot, you just have to repeat it to yourself enough so that it can kind of stick. But you need a lot of repetition for that. Did I miss something? Okay. Make sure I'm not missing any comments. Kai said, would Koreans say, I went to my 8-year-old niece's play yesterday, or would they not usually specify age? You can just say 조카. You don't need to necessarily specify that they are like 8살짜리. Unless you wanted to specify, like if they don't know who that is, then you would specify. Like they have no clue who you're talking about. Then you could say like, oh, my niece goes to school and does this, and they are in this grade. I think it might be more common though for that to just say their grade, like their current grade in elementary school. Like they are, I guess if they're 8, they would be what? 3학년. I think that would be 3rd grade, right? 2nd or 3rd grade, somewhere in there. 3학년생. 이에요. You could just say they are in the 3rd grade or 2nd grade. And then you could just refer to them as 조카 after that. You wouldn't have to necessarily say my 8-year-old niece for every time. So the answer is you probably don't need to say that. Unless, like I said, they don't know anything about who you're talking about. Cosma. Yeah, take care, Cosma. Tanya says, what's the natural way to say you're welcome when someone says thank you? Well, actually, I just did it. Yeah, you wouldn't say 천만에요 ever. But it used to be. So if you ask a Korean over the age of 60, how do you say you're welcome in Korean? They will probably tell you it's 천만에요, because that used to be the normal way to say it. 천만에요. It basically means don't worry about it. You're more than welcome. But now it sounds really old and old-fashioned. And there are a few expressions like that. 처음 뵙겠습니다 is like a very polite way to say nice to meet you. That is also not used anymore, but people who are much older, like over 60, 70, might still like that because it sounds very formal. 천만에요 would be you're welcome, but again, not used. Instead, all you do is, it's more common nowadays to just deny the thanks by saying 아니에요. 아니에요. No, is what you do. 아니에요. It's basically no problem. Or this is polite. So if someone said, 감사합니다, you would reply to this. If it's your friend, you're not going to say 아니에요 because that has the 요. That would be it's informal, but it would be too polite for your friend. You can just do 아니야. Don't do 아니 though, because 아니 is a different meaning. 아니야 would be the casual version of 아니에요, which means it is not. You're like, oh no, it's not. It's not. Basically, it's like saying it's not something that you need to say thanks for. Oh, it's nothing. But not ani. Ani would mean no, but that doesn't mean it's not. It means just no. Like when you're answering yes or no, you'd say oh for yes or 아니 for no for casual. 별 말씀을요. 별 말씀을요. You would do that. And 별 말씀을 is also a polite way. It's a bit exaggerated, so I never use it. But it's like, oh, please, like, you don't need to say that. It's a little bit more fancy sounding, but you could say 별 말씀을요. Like, you're just saying that's unnecessary things you're saying. Like, it has that kind of feeling to it, so I don't use it. But it's okay to say, oh, 별 말씀을요. You're like, yeah, you don't have to go that far. So I might use it jokingly, but I wouldn't use it like normally so much, just because I think it's a bit much. Yes, 을요, correct. Jason says, I've seen 아니었음을. That's not this. I mean, it's the same verb, but it's not related to this. Only tuned in and skipped around a bit, so I was wondering if words like 다 or 서로 also, what's obviate? My English isn't very good, but what does obviate mean? You could use 다들, but that's not the plural of 다. 다들 is a separate word that's basically the casual version. I shouldn't say casual. The informal version of 여러분 is 다들. I did mention that. 서로 is, what's the word? To each other. Like, 우리는 서로 좋아해요. Like, we like each other. So it's the each other version. Or like, 서로에게 말했어요. We told it to each other. But you wouldn't say each other plural. Like, it wouldn't fit. Does it make it unnecessary? No, but hopefully that answered your question. Blue Moon said, I heard you mentioning podcasts. I also saw some on what YouTube recommends, but I'm not quite sure which ones I should listen to. Search my channel for a video where I recommend podcasts. If you search podcast on my channel, you'll find the video. I don't have a link to it. I can just share, sorry. But if you check my my YouTube channel, you'll find one that I did. I think sometime last year, I think I uploaded it. And yeah, it recommends like 15 or so. I actually don't even remember how many I put in there. It's all the ones that I really liked that are current. So that was the main requirement, is that it's the ones that are still up to date as of the time making that video. So if I did every podcast, there are actually like 100 out there. There are so many podcasts that started and then ended, include like older ones as well. Ones that are like over a year old. There were some I found that were like 5-10 years old. So I didn't include any ones that have ended, but all the ones that were current as of the time I made that video that had uploaded a podcast within the past, I think 3 months. I recommended all the ones that I liked. And yeah, I would check out any of those. There are a lot of good Korean learning podcasts out there right now that are like all in Korean. Okay, I'm just going to scroll up and see if I missed anything. Okay, no, I don't think I did. All right, any other questions? The goal is going to expire soon, but that's okay. We can talk about other things. If you are a Patreon member, you can get this outline, all of the examples and more, as well as a worksheet with an extra, I think 8 extra sentences using these particles from today. So you can get those all on my Patreon page as long as you're just a 1-member supporter or above. And this outline will be available within like 20 minutes after the stream has ended. The worksheet, though, is already up, so you can get that right now. That's my little advertisement. Didi's podcast is the best, IMO. Yes, I like Didi's podcast. I am a fan of that as well, Raymond. I got to meet Didi, which was nice. I finally got to meet her just last month, the end of last month in Korea. Hyunwoo from Talk to Me in Korean hosted a Korean teacher networking meeting, I think. There's some snacks and stuff, and it was just a bunch of other people who were teaching Korean, and some people who were just learning Korean also were there. And I did get to meet Didi for the very first time, which was cool. It's like, oh, hey, and that was pretty much it. Like, hey, yeah. Choi Susu's podcast. Yes, I'm aware of hers as well. I think she's also one of the ones I recommend in the list. Taeyeon's wife said, it's Lizzie. I got your Korean Learning 3 book. I didn't get the first one or the second one. Okay. SDBD. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about as well. I think I also recommended that one too, but you might want to check out the thing. Yeah, there were several. I got to meet a few people, which was cool. Like a few people I've only seen in videos, and I got to meet them for real. Like, oh, this is weird. Like, there should be a screen in front of your face. I think maybe I'll do that next time. I'll just carry around a broken CRT monitor. Like I'll just pull out the screen in front and I'll just carry it in front of my face. Or maybe like a computer monitor. I'll take a computer monitor, take out all the insides and just leave the plastic screen. And I'll carry that around so that people don't feel weird when they see me in person. Someone's like, oh, are you Billy Go on YouTube? I'll be like, hold on. Pull out the big screen. I'm like, oh yeah, hey. And they're like, oh, so nice to see you. That way they don't have to feel awkward about meeting me. I think I'll try that next time. How to say, how's it going? How's it going? So you're talking to your friend? The thing is, there are ways to say this that I could teach you, but then at the same time, you don't ask this question. We do it in English as in exchange for saying hello. We'll ask, how are you doing? But we don't actually care about how someone's doing whenever we ask this. In Korean, you don't do it. If you really want to know, like if there's some concern, like, hey, how have you been? Like, long time no see, how have you been? Then you can ask it with like the verb 잘 지내다. 지내다 is like to go on, to be doing sort of thing. And 잘 is well. So like, are you doing well? 잘 지내? 잘 지내요? 잘 지내고 있어요? Like any variation like that. 잘 지내세요? But it's more of actually a question. It's not a greeting as much as it is a question. 잘 지내세요? Is actually, how have you been doing? It's not like, hey, what's up? Like, no. Hey, what's up is just another way to say, is there something wrong? Or just hey in English. So it's different usage. Small says, I found a YouTuber speaks about zero waste lifestyle. That's cool. What's the YouTuber's name? Do they make like high quality videos? Is it a man voice or a woman voice? Because I usually try to find men YouTuber for my Korean listening practice. I might be curious in that. That's kind of cool. 학생들은 서로를 좋아한다. 학생들은 다 똑똑하. No, that doesn't make it go away. I saw the pics. So many all-stars. Oh, yes. I care, Billy. I care. How's everyone doing? So yeah, that's my answer for that, is that when in English we'd say, what's up? Or hey, how's it going? And most of the time that is only just for a greeting. It's not actually we're not actually asking it. We're like, hey, long time no see. Like, it's just a greeting. So those things in Korean sound a bit awkward if they're not meant sincerely. If you're not actually asking someone, how are you doing? Or long time no see. If you don't actually mean those, don't say them in Korean. So I've asked my Korean teacher that and she ignores it. Is that like a cultural thing or does she hate me? She might be ignoring it because she thinks that it might be that she's thinking that you're trying to do it in English. Like she might know that in English we say this and that it doesn't really have much meaning. Like, hey, how's it going? How do you answer that in English? Hey, how's it going? You say, hey. Or you could say, oh, hey, good, you, right? But you have the option of just saying, hey, if someone asks you. You don't have to actually answer. So it could be that she's familiar with American culture and thinks you're doing that. But otherwise, no, you would still answer that. Like if you said, oh, 어떻게 지내요? 어떻게 지내세요? Literally, how are you doing? That is a question. That's like, what's your favorite color? They're not just going to ignore you. How have you been? How are you doing? You have to answer. 뭐 잘 있죠. 뭐 그냥 뭐 있죠. You could just say, 그냥 뭐 잘 살고 있는 것 같아요. I think I'm just, I think I'm okay. 그냥 있어요. I'm here. You can also say, but you would actually answer that. It's a question. Blue Moon says, I'm learning from a course called Learn Korean Like a Baby. I've never heard about that, but just judging by the title, there's no way that's going to work. Just judging by the title. Again, I haven't seen, I don't know what course this is, but just judging by the title, I can tell you that doesn't sound like it's going to do anything for you, because you can't learn Korean like a baby. You also can't learn Korean while you're sleeping. So there are a few things like this that are, you might find them commonly on YouTube or just on the internet. And before YouTube, these were also going around. Yeah, you can't learn Korean like a baby because you're not a baby. And you can't learn Korean while you're sleeping because you're asleep. And I've done videos about both of those topics before on my channel also. I also include some studies with them, but the really short version, if you don't want to watch those videos, doesn't work. Their name is Siregi Wanguk, Trash Kingdom. Okay. It's two women. All right. That actually sounds like a kind of a fun name for that sort of channel. 전 나쁘지 않아요. I am not. Okay. Well, Keith, yeah, you could say, 전 뭐 나쁘지 않아요. Yeah, me. It's not bad. You could say that. How close do two people have to be to use 밥 먹었어요? Well, you would have to be close enough to use informal speech. So you wouldn't use this to someone who's older than you, who you're not close with anyway, in which case you would have to say 식사하다, not 밥 먹다. But 식사하다 is the more fancy version of 밥 먹다, which means to have a meal. So you could say, 식사하셨어요? Have you eaten? If they're much older than you or that you're not very close with them. But if you're friends, then you can say, 밥 먹었어요? Or 밥 먹었어? If you're like same age friends or you've agreed to speak casually. Me as a European who just blatantly tells my whole story to an American who says, what's up? Yeah, don't do that to Koreans, but you can do that to other people. It's kind of funny. Like when people ask, hey, how's it going? You can be like, I don't really want to talk about it. But, and some people will respond well to that. They'll think it's funny or they'll want to talk to you. Other people would be like, okay. It just depends on who you're talking with. You can kind of read the vibe of the person. But in Korean, you don't ask, like, if you're a cashier, you're never going to ask the customer, 어떻게 지내세요? Like when they're scanning their items. That's just like so weird. Like I can imagine Koreans feel so awkward when cashiers are like, how are you doing? Like, what the heck are you asking me? Why are you saying that? It would just be a really big culture shock. Whereas for us, it's just like, hey, you doing okay? Like just checking in on you. Did you find everything? He says, I learned by osmosis. That's the only correct way to learn Korean, is by dividing your cells inside of your body. That's like getting your cells to pass through a solid surface, something like that, right? I don't remember. I learned about osmosis in high school and forgot all about it. Learn Korean like a baby is someone just repeating saying some words in Korean, and they say it in Korean, they show a picture or show with gestures what something mean. You also try to guess. Oh, that's fine. That's not what I thought it would be. That sounds okay. It's just basically what regular linguist teachers would call association, word association, or it's part of immersion learning where you just learn the word as is with context. The only downside to that is you're spending a lot of time doing it. But if you have the extra time, sure, add that in. But don't make that any part of your main studying. That should just be like while you're sitting down and you're eating a snack after your lunch, you're having an extra snack and you're watching that video instead of watching like a YouTube poop your friend sent to you. Like that's the frame you should put that sort of content in. It should never be your main course. So yeah, if you're studying Korean, you're like, now's my 30 minutes to study Korean. Don't make that a part of that 30 minutes. Make it the extra time when you really didn't need to do anything else. In which case, sure, that sounds fine. Comprehensible input is regular input that you can kind of understand part of it. It should be, they say N+1, where N is your current level. So it shouldn't be something that's really high above your level. It should be something where you can understand some of it, at least. Like you want to understand most of it, but not everything. That's the most effective type of input for you. But comprehensible input alone won't help you learn. Will help you, won't teach you Korean. I'll say that. You're not going to get fluent by only doing comprehensible input, and I've never met or heard of anyone who actually has. I've heard of some people who claim that, but haven't actually done it that way themselves. But it will help you, and you need tons and tons of comprehensible input to learn Korean. You can't learn Korean without it. Have you looked at Kimchi Reader? I have. I was in contact actually with the developer of Kimchi Reader, and I think I still have a trial for it. I used it a little bit. I had some issues with it, and I sent those off, and they said they're going to fix them, but I haven't really gotten much use out of it yet, because the videos that I watch on YouTube, none of them, it doesn't work with any of the ones that I tried to use it with, which was the main issue. And if it did, I think I would already be recommending it on this channel. But because it hasn't worked for me, I don't know yet. And I haven't gone back and tried it again with other simpler videos, because that's none of the content I use would be like simple videos. But yeah, I just had some issues with it for trying to use it with intermediate level content and advanced level content, and it wasn't working properly for that. So if you like it though, sure, that's cool. I know what it does. It's not a bad tool. I just had issues with it. Polygon said, I put too much attention on grammar and not vocabulary. I can't really say I'm an intermediate learner despite finishing the 3rd Korean Made Simple book, but hey, I'm trying to acquire more vocabulary every day. Oh no, there's only 4 minutes left for the goal. What are we at? It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll try again next time. But yeah, 4 minutes left for that goal. We'll talk about the podcast maybe another time. Just finishing the Korean Made Simple books won't make someone a fluent Korean speaker. But I mean, of course, I don't think you expected that anyway. The workbooks are helpful, but again, you also don't need them. I would say the main thing that's going to separate someone who speaks Korean well and someone who doesn't, and it's everyone I know who speaks Korean well also does the exact same thing, and that is they actually have Korean friends or people they can practice with on a regular basis. That's it. Like, that's the secret that teachers don't want you to know for learning Korean, is really just having people to practice with. I've never met anyone who speaks Korean well who doesn't have several Korean friends they can practice with, ever. I've never, ever, ever, ever come across anyone who's learned Korean who doesn't have friends to practice with. Ever. I'll say it again, ever. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like you have roommates who are Korean or you're marrying a Korean or anything like that. It doesn't have to be like that. But people they can talk with online is good enough. And on the other side of that, every person I've interacted with who speaks Korean has people that they practice Korean with. You can get to like a high beginner level, I think, without actually having Korean language partners. That's fine. A tutor that you talk with once a week could also help you get to a high beginner level with practice. You know, you're practicing listening, you're practicing speaking a little bit. You're going to get to a decent basic conversational level without having Korean friends. But beyond that, to get to the actual like fully conversational level, you're going to need to have people you can practice speaking with. So whether that means you have a tutor more often, or you're making friends that you can practice a little bit with in Korean on a regular basis, that's what you're going to need to go to go from the basic level to the fluent level. You need that. Kai says, what's a video you have coming out you're excited for? I filmed a lot of videos in Korea. I filmed 18 videos during my trip. One of them I filmed is I asked many of you to send me your funniest Korean mistakes or your worst Korean mistakes. And I got a lot. I think I had like 40, over 40 were sent in. So I didn't get to react to all of those, but I did get to react to some of them together with one of my friends, my friend Soyoung, who's like hilarious. And we did a video last month together reacting to those. And I'm looking forward to putting that video up. It's like reacting to the mistakes and then explaining why they're mistakes. And some of those were like, some of them were really good. The Korean friends thing is kind of a hen and an egg. Yeah, chicken and an egg situation. Exactly. How are you going to practice Korean if you don't have friends? Well, how are you going to get friends if you don't speak Korean? It's like, how are you going to get good at guitar if you don't get Eddie Van Halen to teach you? And it's one of those things you just crawl back and forth. Like getting better at Korean makes it more easy to get friends, which makes it more easy to practice Korean, which makes it's like a little bit. And as you get better, then it gets easier. Then you can improve a lot more. But in the beginning, you just have to suffer through it. Or you don't have to suffer if you have a friend, who's Korean, then it's fun, but trying to get the speaking practice. Speaking practice by yourself will help you. Like there's a limit to how good you can get by yourself. If I can clarify, like you practice by yourself will help you. Listening practice by yourself will help you, but there's going to come a point where once you get to that level, that will be plenty for you to start practicing with Korean. So I'll say that there is overlap between the level that you need to start practicing and the level that you have to make Korean friends where you're speaking in Korean. There's a decent overlap. You don't have to there's not like a bridge you have to jump across. Once you get to basic conversational level, that's plenty to start practicing with friends. Like even my beginner course on YouTube, if you practice all that stuff and you do lots of listening practice, that's enough to get you to that basic conversational level where you can have friends that are speaking only in Korean and you only reply to them in Korean. Now, it's not going to be fluent, but you can start doing it then. I do about 2 of your episodes in the beginner course and then maybe 1 episode of Learn Korean Like a Baby. Yeah. Depending on where you are in the beginner course, you might want to start off by doing like the first 10 in the same day because they're all basic. But then beyond that, you probably don't want to do more than 1 a day. And then when you get past lesson like 40, I would slow down to like 1 every 2 days. And when you get past lesson 60, maybe 1 every 3 days. And then lesson 80, maybe 1 every 4 days. Like you don't want to rush. You want to make sure you have plenty of time to practice. But I definitely wouldn't do more than 1 a day after you're past like the first 20. Then you really want to slow down because even if you get the concept in like 30 minutes, you want to give your brain some time to hear it. Maybe watch the video like once in the morning, once in the evening. Just give yourself plenty of time to like get used to what you're doing. UV asked, what's the best way to find a tutor? I always say this, I recommend getting the cheapest tutor you can afford. Because if you're not, you're learning Korean by yourself mostly. You're not hiring an actual tutor to make their lesson plans. You can do that if you have plenty of money. Hire a tutor to give you lesson plans, tell you learn this, then learn this, and we'll quiz you, like all of that, like a classroom. But that's going to cost a lot of money. You can learn Korean for free, or you can pay. It's up to you. But there are free options. The best thing that a tutor can offer you is, besides like answering questions you might have with your self-study material, is just a practice partner. And anybody with a brain in Korea can do that, whether they have training teaching Korean or not. The best thing a tutor can do is be a paid practice partner, someone who will keep using Korean to you. Even though a regular Korean on the street will kind of get bored if you're not able to have a full conversation or you're not understanding. Your tutor, you're paying, you're forcing them, whether they like it or not, they're getting paid, so they're happy. You're paying them just to be your practice partner. So anyone can do that. So I think just look for anyone who's native Korean. Preferably if they have some experience with foreigners, that way they know to speak a little slowly and clearly to you. But just anyone is fine. And as much as you can get. So if you can do 30-minute sessions a week, it's not going to be that expensive, and that would be really useful for you. As far as where, italki, I'd probably just say go to italki. Preply is another one that does it, but like I said, I heard that they're not as good. They don't treat the tutors as well over there. Like they don't pay them as much or something. So I would just say italki. And then the best way would be just find them on your own. And I'm not going to say abuse the platform's terms and services. So I won't say that. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. But if there is a different way that you can find someone that's just tutoring, like they have people advertising their services on Reddit or on other Korean learning communities. So you can find tutors there directly and just hire them, pay them directly, and maybe buy like a bulk package of speaking practice or something after you've tried them out once. That's what I would do. Just do a little bit of tutoring. Okay, I think The goal ended, but maybe we'll have another chance. Maybe we'll have another chance next week. Either way, check Patreon sometime later this week. There will be an announcement about the podcast. I'm just not going into much detail about it yet. That's still kind of secretive. But if you're a member, if you're a paid member on Patreon, you can already check out information about it. But I'll make a free post that anyone can see coming up later this week, just with a basic announcement of it. But again, I haven't worked on it yet. I mean, I haven't started filming it yet, I'll say. I am working on it. Okay, let's see. UV says, I gotta download Tinder again and find myself a Korean e-girlfriend. Why is it an e-girlfriend? Why can't it be just a real girlfriend? Why does it have to be an e-girlfriend? You can make an e-friend. I mean, you can make a real friend on any of those apps. He says there's just so many words that can sound bad with the slightest error in pronunciation. Yes, that's true. I mean, English has the same thing though. I won't say any of them, but I've heard plenty of pronunciation mistakes. I still remember because when I was in college, most of my friends at the time first were Japanese. I had Japanese friends and then I had a bunch of Korean friends. And my Japanese friends, some of their English was not very good. So I'm trying to think what's an appropriate pronunciation mistake. I remember one guy was talking to me about how he was trying to say, this is my time. Like while I'm here in the US, this is my time to learn English. But instead he said, this is my period. And he's like, with the most serious face the guy could make. I'm like laughing. He's like, what? What's wrong? I'm serious. Like, no, dude. Yeah. There are so many like English mistakes people can make. And that's not even a pronunciation mistake. That was just a translation. He was trying to say like generation, I think. Anyway, let's see. Try this tongue twister. 간장 공장 매니저는. Oh, that's a different one. That's not the original one. Finding a girlfriend to learn Korean? Just make a friend. Yeah. You don't want to make a... I mean, if you're making a friend, the advice I'll give you is just make a friend. Don't ever try to make a friend, or especially a boyfriend or girlfriend, for learning a language. That's never going to work because it's already hard enough to find a friend in the first place. Good luck finding a friend who just wants to correct your Korean all day and teach you Korean for free without getting anything for themselves. Like, unless you are extremely attractive, you're going to have to find someone that's also getting something out of your relationship. And just a regular friend is better for that. So a friend who you just so happen to speak Korean is going to be much better than a friend who you think is only going to help your Korean. That won't last. So yeah, when I say language exchange partner, I mean just find friends that are Korean, but speak Korean. My South American friends always pronounce beach as something else. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I've heard that as well. I'd recommend going to places like HelloTalk to find people to talk to and practice. Yes. HelloTalk's fine. Tandem's fine. And there are a few other websites. I mean, I'm not going to be picky about it because they're all kind of the same thing. It's all like the same people anyway. Like I have several, and it's funny, like I will see the same people on multiple ones with the same profile picture. You're just getting the same pool of people, just organized different. Okay, I'll just stream for 6 more minutes just to go up to 4 o'clock to make it just to go right to the top of the hour, and then we'll stop for today. Any last questions? Donna says, we have a university nearby and I adopt some Korean students so they have a home away from home and we can speak Korean as well as English. Yes, that's very nice. Is Pingo... I don't know what Pingo is, but as soon as you said AI, the answer is no. The AI is stupid. It doesn't know what it's talking about. And it'll tell you like 95% of what it'll tell you is correct. And the other 5% is like horribly wrong. Like it just hallucinates garbage. So if you're using that for helping you write a poem, sure. Cheat on your essays. That's really what people use it for. Getting quick general answers compiled from the internet. Usually okay, as long as you check the sources. But asking Korean questions, it's not very reliable. And even today, like at least the last time I checked, it's still like weird. It'll still give like false information mixed in, and it'll be really confident and really convincing about its false information. And then you can try it for yourself. Ask it any question you want about Korean. Seriously, any question. Is this particle only used after the object marker? Anything you want. It'll tell you an answer. It might be correct. Let's just say it gives you a 100% correct answer. Say, sorry, you're actually wrong. It's not. Just say that. And it will tell you, I'm sorry, you are right, and correct itself, even if it was right. Like, that's how sensitive it is to correction. Like, that's how easy you can break it. Just tell them it's wrong after it gives you the perfectly correct answer. Just say, oh no, you're wrong. I know for a fact it's this. It'll apologize and correct itself. Like, it'll give you wrong stuff. And if you correct it, it'll change it into another thing that's wrong too. Like, I found that if it makes a mistake, you might think, oh, I'll just correct it and help it. No, it'll give you another answer that's just as wrong. It'll just say, oh, you're right, and give you another wrong answer. So I don't use it. I don't recommend it like widespread for that sort of thing. It has uses and I like it, but not for just general like learning. So if anyone says, how is this tool, like Korean AI tool? Like, I'm just going to say no, with exceptions. But if you're just asking if an app has AI in its name, no, the answer is no. I think it said I may be the chosen one. You might be. Just ask ChatGPT how many R's are in strawberry. Yeah, although I think they probably have corrected that, but it's a good example. You can ask it math. It doesn't know how to do math, especially decimals. Like if you say like, what's 1.31 minus 2.31? And it'll like calculate it weird. Like it doesn't know how to do math. It can't play chess. If you give it a picture of a chessboard and say, where should I move next? It has no clue. Or, you can tell it, hey, I moved this piece to this piece. Where should I go next? It has no clue. It can't play chess. I heard that like the old 80s computer chess programs can beat ChatGPT. Like that's how not thinking it is. It's like I said, it's just an auto, what's that called? The predictive text feature. It's just a really good predictive text feature. It's silly to assume AI can replace programmers when it can't even detect the nuances of different languages. Yeah, it has some uses. Like I said, it can have uses in programming, but you have to then be there to fix it. You can say, hey, I want to do this. How can I program this to do this? It'll give you something, and then you got to look over and check to see if it's okay. And you might think, oh, that's actually okay. But you might have been able to do that on your own. And if you don't check it, then you can easily introduce weird mistakes into it. Markov chain, that's what it's called. Yes. Yeah, we're wrapping up. We had the lesson today. I just like hanging out for other questions. Oh, Kai asked a question. Sorry, Kai, I didn't mean to miss your question. You asked, Billy, do you still study? Do I still study? That's cute. Ha. Do I still study? I still never got the PayPal email, never came in. Anyway, yes. I study every day for the past 5 years. I've been or maybe actually longer. I've been studying with vocabulary. So I have an Anki deck, which is also shared on my Patreon page, that I do every day. It's like 60 or so words per day. Not new words, but like review. And then in there will be like 5 new words. So maybe it'll be like 60 to 65 per day that I review. And that takes about 30 to 40 minutes per day. But I've been doing that every single day without fail. I'll do it twice when I travel to Korea and the time switches. That's the main vocabulary review I do every day. And then for grammar, it'll be for preparing lessons. And like for this live stream, I'll do review in Korean to make sure I'm not missing anything for like particles. But my Korean studying is more like, I'll show you. This is one of the books that I like studying. Anytime I'm making lessons, this is one of the books I always pull out. Actually, Talk to Me in Korean recommended me this book originally, but I really like it. It doesn't have everything and it's not complete. It's missing like a ton of stuff, but for the stuff it does have, again, this is not for beginners. This is like an advanced level grammar reference. You're better off using Naver Dictionary. But I like this because it has a lot of grammar forms in more detail, like advanced grammar forms in more detail than Naver sometimes. It'll give you like more notes about grammar forms. So I like this. I'll read this a lot. Whenever I'm making a lesson, I'll check stuff there. Um, and then my Korean studying would also be a lot of input. So I have several YouTubers I subscribe to that I watch solely for Korean practice. Like their videos are okay too, but some that I'll just watch for the practice. I might watch Korean shows if they're really popular, just so I know what's going on, and I'll make sure to watch it in Korean. I'd watched K-pop Demon Hunters in Korean, solely so that I know what everyone's talking about when they start mentioning K-pop Demon Hunters to me. So yeah, I did watch that in Korean. It's just more like general use stuff. Like I'll read a news article and it's in Korean and I just won't click translate, or I'll read a post about something and I'll read the comments in Korean. That's kind of more of my studying nowadays, because most of my practice is really just with my friends. My Korean friends, I'll just speak with them in Korean and that's it. So I'll get maybe a couple hours of Korean practice per day when I'm not in Korea, spread out between those sorts of things. Stan Sprinkle, remember you reviewed some girl's YouTube video about fluency in 12 months and said you thought it was a helpful template. Yes. So the video, if you watch that, I think I know, I don't remember the YouTuber because I just saw it suggested on my YouTube. If you follow that template, it'll help you get to conversational Korean. So the word fluency is not really an accurate word because there's no level fluency, and everyone will define it differently. Some people will say you're fluent only if you're like a live translator and you can translate like medical documents. Like that's fluent, but that's not what I would consider fluent. I think fluency is just you can speak fluidly without difficulty. That doesn't mean you're going to sound like a professional or sound like a native though. It just means you can speak, have conversations without too much difficulty. I think that's possible in a year. It's difficult though to do in a year. So I like her template. I wouldn't say that if you follow it, you will get fluent in a year because, no, someone could, but you probably won't. But it is a good template. It basically is, she's just saying, making sure you're doing lots of speaking practice. Make sure by this month you're trying to do this. So yeah, it's a good guide. But it'll depend how you define fluency. If you're just saying it's conversational, like basic conversational fluency, yeah, you can reach that in a year if you're working really hard. The soonest I've ever seen anyone ever reach that sort of level would be like 6 months anyway. Usually though, it doesn't happen for like 2 years. Blue Moon Polygon says, my favorite board game, I have a rating of 2100. That's considered expert, but I still feel suck. Oh, okay. Yeah, you just need one of those, I won't talk about Magnus memes. Anyway. Taking a sabbatical over the next 6 months, and I'm an intermediate learner trying to build out a template to fluency. So Stan, if you're looking for something actually to get you to like what you might be referring to as fluency, I would say what that YouTuber outlined in the video plus way more practice speaking than they outlined would work for more people, I'd say. What did you think about the movie? It was okay. I liked that they found many cool things in Korea that are not normally highlighted by other movies that are from Korea. I think Korea made movies often don't highlight cool things about Korea. Like you're not going to find out like, oh wow, look at that cool location. Oh, look at that cool food. Like you're not going to find a lot of that by watching Korean media. Unless you're watching like variety shows, sometimes we'll highlight that stuff. But I feel like they picked out a lot of interesting cultural things that makes Korea look cool. Like they picked out, the derpy tiger, which is a real character, as well as the bird. They have lots of real locations, although there is not a place with all the monitors on the giant TVs on the buildings. That doesn't quite exist. Not quite like that. But most of the places in there are real that you can visit, and they picked some cool ones. There's no stadium on top of the Seoul Tower, unfortunately. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good job at kind of representing Korean culture in a fun way, and songs are okay. So I enjoyed it. I thought about making a video analyzing like some stuff in that movie. I just feel like now it's a little bit late. Everyone's already seen it, and it would take me another few weeks to make it anyway. But yeah, it was not bad. And I got my kid to watch it as well because I figured, well, his friends are probably going to talk about it at school. So I want him to know it. So I had him sit down. I made him popcorn. I'm like, okay, watch the movie. So he watched. He thought it was okay. He liked it. 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 다음에 또 뵙겠습니다. Thanks, Polygon. How It's Done is on repeat in mine. I like some of the songs. I thought they were okay. What It Sounds Like is probably my favorite. Someone says. I mean, I just like Golden, I guess. I think it's the most catchy. Although all the songs were well written. What was funny though is the movie wasn't made originally in Korean. It was made in to be in English. So the dubbing is made for English, and then the Korean dubbing was done after the fact. So the subtitles in Korean are not always natural, which I thought was kind of funny. Some stuff was like literally translated from English into Korean in the subtitles. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that was made after the fact. You know Magnus Carlsen? Yeah, of course I know Magnus. Avid chess. No, I'm not super avid chess follower. Yes, exactly. Only the purists are know of the person named Magnus. Yes. Gotham chess. Yeah, Magnus I think he's the number one. But yeah, no, I'm not a big chess fan, although I know of chess. I used to learn it as a kid. I did classes. I have battle chess on my old DOS computer. Used to play that all the time. And my younger brother is really good at chess. And he's interested in like the pro scene and stuff. Class next week? No, there's no class next week. But there will be a class after that. So there's no class this next Sunday. Oh yeah, I should probably end it. I'm going over time. Thank you everyone for coming. And I will see you again next time. There is no class next Sunday, but I'll see you the Sunday after that. And then there might not be one after that because I have to go to my brother's daughter's birthday, which is on Sunday. So I might go to that. I'm not sure though. I have to decide if I'm going to go to that or if I'm going to do a live stream. It's a difficult decision for me because I do want to go to that, but I also need to have some consistency for. Anyway, I'll let you know about that later. But no live stream next week, and probably there will be a live stream the week after that. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.